Hi kids. So today we're going to work on the reading, phonics, spelling video for next week. Okay, well actually depending on when you get it, it's for the week of May 18th through 22nd, okay? So for reading, we're actually going to be working on the last story in your book. So the next pickup, you should return that book and we'll give you your new book, which will be the last one for the year. So the last story in the book is called Henry and Mudge. So actually I think you're really going to enjoy it. So Henry and Mudge is actually a series. And we have a few of their books right in our own little library over here. And they're also chapter books, which gets you to know that you're getting better at reading if they're starting to give you books that are chapter books. So the story is Henry and Mudge and Mrs. Hopper's House, okay? And it's written by Cynthia Rylant and illustrated by Carolyn Rackham. So the question of the week is, what treasures can we share with neighbors? So when they're talking about neighbors now, they're talking about the people that live around you, okay? So our poem and song for the week is called Welcome Neighbor. So let me read it first and feel free to read it with me. Welcome, welcome, my dear neighbor. It is oh so good that every resident is friendly in our neighborhood. Welcome, welcome, my dear neighbor. Everyone can tell we positively did discover a super place to dwell. So let's go over a couple of those words. So over here, and I tried to highlight them for you. I don't know if it shows up. So a resident. So a resident is somebody that lives in the neighborhood, okay? A person, so all these people down here, these are residents of this neighborhood, okay? Positively means absolutely. We positively did discover. That means yes, we're sure about it. We're positive, okay? And then a super place to dwell. So dwell is just a fancy way to say live. A super place to live, a super place to dwell. So I know you're going to know this song. It goes to the tune of I've been working on a railroad. So let me do it first and then we'll do it again and you join in, okay? So here we go. Welcome, welcome, my dear neighbor. It is oh so good that every resident is friendly in our neighborhood. Welcome, welcome, my dear neighbor. Everyone can tell we positively did discover a super place to dwell. Okay, so now you try it with me. Ready? Welcome, welcome, my dear neighbor. It is oh so good that every resident is friendly in our neighborhood. Welcome, welcome, my dear neighbor. Everyone can tell we positively did discover a super place to dwell. So let me just go over a couple of skills that I want to make sure you don't forget. So remember that the word everyone is a compound word. A compound word is two words spelled correctly, saying the right thing stuck together. So everyone is a compound word. So you might think, well, maybe welcome is a compound word too, But no, it isn't, because that is not the real way to spell well. Well is W-E-L-L. So welcome, although it sounds like it's a compound word, really is not. And so the other thing I just wanted to review quickly is syllables. How many parts in a word? Like for instance, welcome. Welcome. 2 parts, 2 syllables. Neighbor. Neighbor. 2 syllables, okay? Let's try resident. Ready? Resident. How many syllables? Resident. I hope you're saying 3, okay? So let's do positively. Ready? Positively. Let me do that again and you count the parts. Positively. How many syllables or parts? Did you say 4? I hope so, because that's how many. Okay? So, Henry and Mudge is about going to visit a neighbor, so we're going to talk a lot about neighbors. So the question of the week is, what treasure can we share with neighbors? So I put a couple of ideas on the board, because next week, Zoom, that's what you'll be telling us about, if you actually do spend any time with neighbors. So what are some treasures we can share? So maybe we share the treasure of being helpful. So maybe near you, you have people who are older, excuse me, or not able to do things like shoveling their snow in the winter or mowing their lawn in the spring and summer. Maybe you might run errands for them to pick up groceries or things that they need. Maybe some neighbors may share food. They may share cookies or snacks or drinks, okay? You share conversation. So maybe, like, I know this really happens in the summer, some neighbors will sit together on the porch and just talk together, okay? Kids, you may share toys with your neighborhood children. So maybe you play together and you share toys. So I want you to think about that this coming week and be able, if you do share something, what is it that you share with your neighbors? Or maybe your parents do it, maybe not you. Maybe your parents do it, okay? So that's our question of the week that I want you to think about. So now, I'm going to switch over to Mrs. Souza, and she's going to first do a review of your old reading words, and then she's going to introduce your new reading words. So if you want to see the sentences, the words in a sentence like I used to put on the board, if you look at page 197, you can see that your new words are highlighted, and it's in like a story form, okay? So remember, that's what I usually have on the board over here. Only I left the words out, and you used to fill them in, all right? So I'm going to switch places with Mrs. Souza. So let me just put my chalk down.
Hi, boys and girls. Okay, so we're gonna start off with a review of your words that you already had. So I'm going to show them to you. I'm gonna give you a chance to say it, and then I'll say it, okay? Room. Remember. Thought. Stood. Picture. 8. Remember the number 8, okay? Moon. Laugh. Surprise. Worry. Enjoy. would, like I would go with you. Give. About. Draw. Over. Great. Show. Oops. Colors. Sign. Drew. Took. Wild. Mouth. Found. Once. Above. Touch. Room. Okay. Even though I can't hear you, I know you're doing a good job and you're saying the words the right way. Okay, now I'm going to show you your new words. So this time I'm going to say it, and then you can repeat it after I say it. Or if you know it, say it with me, okay? Only. Shoes. Opened. Dance. Across. Because. Told. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time, okay? Only. Shoes. Opened. Dance. Across. Because. Told. Okay, my friends, and those are your new reading words, okay? I'll switch with Miss Poselli again.
Okay, so boys and girls then, in your packet, I always put the reading first. So once you finish this part, you may want to stop it, the video, and read the story with a grown-up. So remember, they can read it to you. You can read a page, they can read a page. Or if you think you can do it on your own, that's fine. And you know you must read it at least 3 times a week like we used to do in school, okay? So that will be your reading. So toward the end of the week, then you're ready for this. So this is your vocabulary page, so you know how to do this. You read the sentence and pick the word that makes sense. And on the back, here's some more vocabulary practice. So you're going to look at the picture and try to find a word that matches what the picture is showing, okay? On the other side, so this is kind of like our reading test. So your story is called Meg Makes a Mess. And if you look, you see that they all have check marks. So what does that mean? All of these details are in the story. And if you can, I really would like you to highlight or underline them, okay? So they're all in the story. And the last part of the reading is a writing part because you really need to keep on writing. So I changed the directions a little. So they were asking you to tell about a costume that Henry or Mudge wears, but I changed that to just Henry. So in this story, Henry put on 2 different costumes. I want you to tell about one of them. So you need to tell me at least 3 details. That's your complete details. 3 things that Henry put on. And I'm going to ask you to use adjectives. So we haven't talked about adjectives for a while, but remember, adjectives are describing words like color words. There's a lot of color words in this story. So when you're choosing which of Henry's costumes you want to write about, think of the colors that he used, okay? All right, so that's going to be your writing. And complete details will be that you told me 3 things that Henry put on for a costume, and you described them by at least telling me a color, all right? And don't forget to restate the question. So tell about the costume that Henry tries on. So yours, to restate the question, you would say, one costume that Henry tried on was, and then you describe it, okay? So that is the reading. So at this point, you may want to stop the video and read the story once. So now I'm going to go on to the next part. So the next section is phonics, your sounds. So this week they're going to introduce you to something new. So parents, if you're watching this with your child, this is something that when we were children, we did not learn till like 3rd or 4th grade, but now here it is in 1st grade. So it's called a suffix. So a suffix are 2 or 3 letters that are added on to the end of a word. So we're going to talk about the suffix ly added on to a word, which means in a way, in a certain way. So the first word I'm going to write, and these are also your spelling words, is the word gladly. So you know how to spell glad, that's your base word, and then we added ly, which means in a glad way, gladly. The next word is nicely. So here's your word nice, which you know. And then if you add an ly, you're saying in a nice way. So like, let's use this in a sentence. She gladly helped her mom, okay? And nicely, she did her work nicely, in a nice way, okay? The next word is quickly. So here's our main word. Here's quick, okay? And don't forget, say this poem with me. You never see a Q without a U, okay? Quick, and then if we add ly, in a quick way, in a fast way. So the boy ran quickly down the hill, okay? The next word is sadly. So here's our word sad, and then if we add ly, it becomes sadly in a sad way. So she sadly threw away her drawing that got ripped, sadly, in a sad way. So I ran out of the room and I want to put one more, so I'm going to put it over here. And the word is slowly. So here's our word slow, slow, and then add ly, slowly, in a slow way. So the turtle walked slowly down the road in a slow way. So gladly, nicely, quickly, sadly, and slowly. So the other suffix they're going to introduce you to is ful. So it's pronounced full, and it actually does mean full of. Full of. So one of your spelling words is going to be careful. So if you do things in a careful way, it means full of care. You're being gentle. You're taking your time. If you're careful. The next word is painful. So once again, that care was our real word, and then full. So painful is pain, and remember, it's part of the word. It's not a separate word. It's got to be stuck together. So if something is painful, that means it's full of pain. So if you scrape your knee, you might say, this is so painful, which means that it's full of pain, okay? The next word is playful. So here's our real word play. Play, and then full. So we might say this about a puppy or a baby or a kitten. They were so playful. So I know it sounds silly, but full of play. That means they love to play, okay? The next word is useful. So we had this word use before. Useful means it's full of use. So you might say that a pair of scissors is very useful. You can cut many things with it, okay? And the last word, that's a spelling word, is a big one. It's wonderful. So the base word is wonder, and here's our ending, F-U-L. So wonderful means full of wonder, okay? So a wonderful story, like maybe Aladdin and the genie. It's a wonderful story because it's full of wonder, lots of adventures and things going on. All right? So I think we're going to stop right there so Mrs. Souza can go over the spelling words and we can make our spelling graph. So I'm going to change places with Mrs. Souza. Okay, let me put my cards. Okay.
Okay, here we are once again. Okay, so we're gonna put words that end in ly, ful, and then other. So our first word, gladly. Do you see the ly? Nicely, ly. Quickly, ly. Sadly, ly. Slowly, ly. Careful. So now I see ful. Painful, ful. Playful, ful. Useful, ful. Big one. Wonderful, ful. Because.
That's a new reading word.
That's one of your reading words, okay? So I don't see an ly or an ful, so I'm gonna put it with other. And our last word is across. Again, I don't see an ly or an ful, so I'm going to put it with other.
Okay, so stay at the graph. I'm going to ask questions. So what do we notice about our graph? So the first thing that you should notice is that two rows are the same. So Mrs. Souza is pointing to them. Do you see them? The ly and the ful both have an equal number of words, which is 5. And so the other actually has the least or the fewest words because there's only 2. Okay, so now we're going to switch places with Mrs. Souza. Okay.
I feel like Vanna White.
Okay. So once again, we talked about most and fewest. So both of these two have the most. They actually have an equal number, and this has the fewest. So the question I'm going to ask you, which they often ask when you're looking at a graph, is how, so let's do this. How many less others are there than the FUL words, okay? So one of the ways you could do that is you could match, and you can say, well, these two go together, but look, there's nothing down here. So that means that there's 3 less other words. There's 3 less, okay? And we can show that in subtraction. So we can take our bigger number, 5. We can minus our smaller number, 2. And 5, take away 2, leaves 3, which we said that was our answer. Or, if you're one that would rather do an addition, you can say, well, I see that there are 2 other words. I don't know what my other add-in is, but I know that there's 5 of the FUL. So, if we count up from 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many fingers do I have up? 3. So the answer is 3. So we can do this question 2 ways. We can say there are 3 less other words, or we can say there are 3 more FUL words than other. So I really can't do anything with the LY and the FUL. Why is that? And I hope you're saying it's because they're both equal. They both have the same. 5 equals 5, okay? They're the same number. So those are your spelling words for the week, all right? So I'm going to show you the spelling papers that will go with that. So I'm going to skip ahead a little here, okay? So once again, you're going to write your spelling words 3 times. So Mrs. Sousa had to fix some of these along the side, okay? And nice handwriting, which you really have been doing. So please keep it up. And then you're going to write your telling sentence. So I'm just going to remind that there are a few of you who are not using the same number of words as your age. So I want you to remember that. And we wrote it on your papers when we corrected them if you didn't. And then you're going to change your telling sentences into questions. And here's the other reminder. You must use the same words as you're telling. So some of you keep shortening your questions because you're not using all the words. So if we saw that, we wrote it in and we put a little note up here and said, don't forget. So the standard says that I can turn my telling sentence into a question, and you need to use these same words that you use for your telling, except maybe you might be adding a do or a can or a did. Okay, and then on the back, there is a word search. Okay, so once again, highlighters are good. Yellow highlighters are really hard for me to see when I correct, but a darker color or a crayon to circle, don't just put a line through, highlight or circle, okay? So now let me just go over the papers that go along with the, which I think there's only one actually, with your, with your LY and FUL. So they're going to ask you to put the right ending. The dog is playful. The dog is playly. So do you see how one of those doesn't sound right at all? Okay? All right? The dog walked slowly. The dog walked slowful. One of those didn't sound right at all. Okay? So you're going to write the word again and put the correct ending. And then on the back, you're going to once again put the right ending and then write the whole word over here. Okay? So read the sentence. So I went gladly or gladful. So this is kind of easy because these are your spelling words. So just find glad. Look, it's gladly. See, you see that? So you write your ending and then you write the whole word again. Okay? So that's LY and FUL, and those are called suffixes. So the next skill we're going to work on is our long vowels. So we're working on long U, and you had done a U with another letter and an E. Okay, so we had done that kind. So now we're going to do the other 3. A UI stuck together, a UE stuck together, or something so different. EW also says ooh. So remember, it can go ooh or you, okay? So let me just put a couple of examples. And by the way, if you're able to read those words to your mom, then you know you got it. And if you have trouble the first time, you should read them a couple of times, okay? So let's do some UI words first. So ready? S, oo, t. So there it is saying oo. F, oo, t. So here, see our UI here? This is a blend, okay? So here's a big one. Ooze, bruise, okay? There's our UI. So those are a few samples. So now let's do our UE. So this one you should know, this is a color word. Blue, blue. Ooh, true. And let's do one bigger one. Color. Ooh, cruel, which means very mean. So those are examples of UE. And then let's do the last one, which is very different, EW. So you already, and you've had quite a few of these, like you already had this word, new. Change that to an F. Few. And I'll put one more, and I think you already had this word. Drew. Okay? So, those are samples of 3 different ways that you can say oo or you. So I'm going to do them again. S, oot, suit. F, oot, fruit. Br, ooze, bruise. Bl, ooh, blue. Tr, ooh, true. Cr, ooh, cruel. N, ooh, new. F, you, few. Dr, ooh, drew. So those are the 3 sounds that you'll be working on for your next long vowel. And the papers that go along with that are here. So on this one, they're just asking you to look at the picture like she blew bubbles, which one says blue, okay? Flew, glue, chew, suit, stew, juice, and news. And down here, there's a little word box. So you're going to read the sentence and pick the word that will make it make sense, okay? On the back, you're going to look at the picture, suit. Which one is suit? Circle it and fill in the missing letters. So you want to make it say whatever that picture shows, okay? On this side, so this is a little bit different kind of a rhyming one. So something on this side rhymes with something on this side. Okay, so I know this didn't come out well, but this should be the color blue. So blue suit, blue cube, blue glue, blue tune. So I hope you said blue glue, you would connect them. Okay, this is fruit. This is the month of June. And this is a tube. So then down the bottom, so this one might be a little tricky, 2 words in each row rhyme. So drew, draw, grew. Which 2 would rhyme? So remember, in rhyming words, they got to have the same middle and end. So look, EW, AW, EW. It's got to be drew and grew. See? They both have the EW, okay? Okay, and on the back of that paper, I put a variety of oo words. So you're going to read the sentences and try to pick the correct word to fill in. Don't forget to circle the word when you're done. That way you'll know you've already used it, okay? So those are the things, the sounds that we're working on. So now we're going to move over to language arts. So actually, you may want to stop it. Whenever I show you the papers, that's your cue to stop it. And you might want to start doing some of those, okay? I don't want you to try to do everything in one day, because what good is that? You're not going to remember. I want you to do a little bit each day. That's the correct way to do it, okay? Try not to wait till the end and then hurry up and do it all, or do it at the beginning, hurry up and do it all. Nope, I want you to do a little bit each day. how we would do it in school. We don't do everything all in one day. We do a little bit each day so we can review, okay? So in language arts now, we're going to continue to work on verbs, but this time, here's what they're telling you. There's a rule that says that you add an S to verbs that are about one person doing something right now in the present. So if I put this sentence, the dog runs. So I put an S on it because look, if I didn't, the dog run. That doesn't even sound right. The dog runs. So what's the one? So I should have said one person, one animal, or even a thing because a pencil can roll, right? So it's one dog, see? And he's doing, when is he running? Right now, okay? The girl plays. So it's one person, one girl, and she's playing, the girl plays right now, okay? All right, so let's do a thing. So let's do a pencil rolls. And you know they can roll right off your desk. One pencil, it rolls and it's right now, all right? So one side is at the top, I just explained it, add S to one person, animal, or thing that they're doing now. Ruby grows bigger. Ruby spreads her wings. Remember to add S to tell about one person, animal, thing doing it now. So look, I'm going to give you a clue. Pam, Ned, Jose, Tina, these are all one person. And they're doing these things right now. So that should give you a clue on what you should circle and write, okay? So on the back, there's a picture of a family that's at the beach, and it says, look at the picture, write a verb to finish each sentence. Now, here's the important part. Remember to add S to each verb, okay? And you can add more sentences. So I did the dog. So the dog carries his bone. See, he's doing it right now, okay? So I don't want just one verb here. I want you to tell me more. So if you were going to say the girl builds, I don't want to see just the girl builds. What's she building? The girl builds a sand castle, okay? So you got to look at the picture, the girl, what's she doing, the boy, the dad, the mom. I did dog down here for you, okay? All right, so the important thing is that add an S to your verb. If you don't do that, it's not correct, all right? So the other skill we're going to work on is about still working on verbs, but verbs that show past and future. So you know that past means it already happened. So we've kind of already done this before. And how do we show that something already happened? We add what two letters? Do you remember? I hope you're saying ED. You add an ED. So I'm going to use one of your reading words. One of your reading words was opened. Opened. So you could say, last night, Mom opened the door to let me in. So when did it happen? Last night. So that's past, okay? All right, so we can say that Toad walked to Frog's house yesterday. So he already did it, so we add an ED. So this is something that we've already learned. Here's the one that's a little bit new, but not really hard. So on this one it says, use the verb will with another verb to show something that will happen. So look, there's an example right here. Will happen, okay? So when we want to show that we're going to do something, but we have not done it yet, we use will. Like tomorrow, I will help you clean the room tomorrow. Not yet. It didn't already happen. You're not doing it now. You're going to do it tomorrow. I will help. Okay? We will play baseball next week. So, and I don't even have to say tomorrow or next week, because when you see that little word will, that means you haven't done it yet. We call that future. You're going to do it, but it's not done yet, okay? So, to practice that, on this paper, there's a box that has some verbs that are past and some that are future. So here, see how this says the past, the future? If it already happened, you're going to look for the verbs with what on the end? ED, right? So you're going to write those here. And if it's the future, you got to look for the verbs with which word before it, and that would be the word will. So where would you put will tell? Would you put it in the past or the future? Where would you put helped? In the past or the future? Okay? And you should not have any empty boxes, and you shouldn't run out of space. It should be 3 past and 3 future. Got it? Okay? So on the back of that, so this goes with your assignment about how you've changed, okay? So it says, in the past you were a baby. Tell about things you did then. So I added, write 2 sentences about things you did when you were a baby. Remember to add ed to show the past. Okay, so for instance, when I was a baby, I crawled, or I crawled when I was a baby. So you want 2 sentences, and don't forget to earn your points. Start with a capital. Make sure it makes sense. Put your period, because you're telling me at the end. So over here now it says, write 2 sentences about things you will do. Not you're doing them now. Nope. But when you get older, you will do them. And don't forget to use the word will. So maybe you're going to say, I will get a job when I'm older. I will learn to drive when I'm older, okay? So you want to make sure that your sentences are going to tell about things you hope to do in the future. And the last page that goes with that, so on this side, you're going to review verbs that add S. You're going to pick the right sentence, one person. When it's one person, you add an S to the verb. So this is going to be very tricky, so be careful, okay? And then on the back, you're going to review verbs for past and for future. So they want you to mark the sentence that's correct. Okay, so last week, frog planted seeds. Last week, frog plants seeds. Last week, frog plants seeds. Well, which one is past? You have to pick the one with the ED, right? He planted, okay? All right, so those are those skills. All right, so now I did put a little social studies, because remember now, we've been working on map skills. So in your packet for next week, if you open it up, I actually gave you a map of our country. Here's a map of the United States right here, okay? So Alaska is way off to the side. Hawaii is way down in the south. We call this the Southwest Hawaii. So this is a map of our country, okay? So what I want you to learn about this week is a few important words, which I'm going to show you right, well, I don't know where I put them. Oh, here they are, okay. So the word country. The country is the land of a group of people with one government. So our country is the United States of America, okay? And it's 50 states with one government. And so what's a government? A government is a group of people who rule a country, state, or city. So who the ruler of the whole country would be the president of the United States, okay? So the ruler of a state would be the governor. So in Massachusetts, our governor is Governor Charles Baker. He's the governor of the United States, and the mayor rules cities or towns. So our mayor for Fall River is Paul Coogan, okay? So President of the United States rules the whole country. Governor Charles Baker rules the state of Massachusetts, and Mayor Paul Coogan rules the city of Fall River, okay? So every state has what we call a capital. So the capital is the center of government for a country or state. So I want to show you just the map of our country this week, okay? Because last week we looked at the world map. So let me see if I can find, I think it's, of course it's the bottom one, right? Let me see if I can put this up here. See if I can do this better. Okay, so this is the whole world. This is right here, United States. Here are our neighbors, Canada and Mexico. This makes up North America. But this week I want to focus more just on the United States. So let me roll this up, okay? Give me a minute. I don't know if I can. All right. Okay, so this is the United States of America. Here's our compass rose, which he talked about. So some people, when I asked you about what do we call something that gives the directions on a map, just put a compass, but it's actually called a compass rose, okay? So the first thing I want to tell you is that, okay. So I gave you 2 sheets to work on. Okay, so one of them is, where is Washington, D.C.? And Washington, D.C. is important because that's the capital of the whole country. And Washington, D.C. is right here. It's actually in between 2 states. So D.C. stands for District of Columbia. You don't have to remember that, but just Washington, D.C. is where the president lives. So that's the major government. So the capital of the whole country is Washington, D.C., which is where the president lives, okay? And when you read the story about Washington, D.C., it also has other important buildings there. It has our Constitution. It has our Declaration of Independence. Remember that in your story? Okay? So now, in first grade, if you could just learn that the capital of our country is Washington, D.C., but the capital of our state, so here's Massachusetts, is Boston. So on this map, I can tell what the capital is because look what they did. They put a black star next to it. So look, the capital of South Carolina is Columbia. The capital of Georgia is Atlanta. The capital of Florida is